right, so one time for the one time. By the time you're seeing this, we're going to be in May, and I am primarily a mood reader. I normally don't operate off of TBRs. I use TBRs to like placehold books I plan on reading at some point in life. I don't generally tell myself I'm going to have this list of books and I'm going to read this list of books in this month or in this time period. I don't generally do that. I'm going to do that for May, and I'm going to explain why I'm going to do that for the month of May. So the reason I want to do that for the month of May is because I've started a lot of books in April, and I think I started some of them in March that I kind of really want to focus on wrapping up before I get into something new. There are a lot of books that I want to get into. Whew. But I don't want to get into these books until I finish the books that I want to wrap up. So I'm going to start with those. And then there are books that I've had for a little bit that I kind of want to read. So we're just going to get right into it. I thought I had the first book with me, but apparently I don't. So the first book that I plan on reading in the month of May is The Ballad of Perilous Graves by Alex Jennings. I really like that book. And it's funny because on TikTok, I said that I was reading this book, and somebody commented and was like, that's their best friend's brother. So I was like, oh, snap, like 6 degrees of separation. That's dope. So I really want to finish that book because I started it. I really liked it. I put it down for whatever reason, and I just started reading other books. It was The Prairie of the Orange Tree and The Rage of Dragons. That completely engulfed me. And then after that, I read The Fires of Vengeance. Yeah, The Fires of Vengeance, the sequel to The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. After that, I kind of needed a little break because, you know, I was emotionally in turmoil because of those books in a good way. So I sat back and said I was going to start One Piece. So I started One Piece. And I plan on reading the manga because I don't know if I have the attention span to like get through every episode of the anime, but I like it enough that I can follow along with the manga and do the manga thing. And then, you know, I'm back here. It's May, and I really want to finish reading that book. That's probably the book I'm going to prioritize first is The Ballad of Perilous Graves. And then the other book is African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan. This book is really interesting. I really liked it. And again, that's another book. I'm on page, ghetto bookmark. I'm on page 74 of this book, and it's really interesting. Again, it's another book that I just kind of put down and just never got back to. So I want to prioritize reading this in the month of May. And then one book that I know I'm definitely going to finish that I started in April is The Heir of Uncertain Magic. Now I have the Kindle version, but I also have the Audible version, and that's the version I've been going with. I'm 63% through with it, and I think I'm just going to stick with listening to the audiobook on my commute. But I really like that book. It's nice and cozy. It's cozy fantasy. But the other book that I started that I want to finish this month is A Day of Fallen Night. I don't know, because I might just end up finishing this book and then going back to the other two that I want to finish, but I'm going to try not to. I'm probably going to restart reading this because I'm only like 3% through this 800-page monstrosity of a masterpiece. So I'm probably going to, yes?
Are you doing a worm blessing in here?
Okay. But I'm probably going to prioritize this towards the middle to the end of the month. Because really, like, once I get into it, I'm probably going to fly through it as quick as I can fly through it. And I want to finish DC versus Vampires, the second one, the Crypt Edition. I think that's the only comic I'm going to prioritize for the month of May. All right, so that's those books. And then I have this stack of books. One by one. This book I've had for a long time and I haven't read it to its completion. It's called Feck Perfunction by James Victor, Dangerous Ideas on the Business of Life. And this is actually a book recommendation from Shameless Maya. I like this book. It's not really a book you have to read like cover to cover, but I kind of want to, I've had this book for a long time and I've only gotten to page 7. And it's because I don't know why, but yeah. So I want to get through this month. Even though I haven't read it in its entirety, it is a book that I go back to because the 2 chapters that I read were really inspiring. So this inspires you to like break out of your habits, break out of your shell, like not get caught up in the idea of failure, and just really like express yourself the way that you want to express yourself. So yeah, kind of fitting for me, like starting my booktube channel now. So there's that too. So the next book I want to read is, and I feel ashamed because I'm a big Toni Morrison fan, but I'm gonna be honest, I have not read every book by Toni Morrison. I've read a lot, but I have not read all. And yeah, so Sula, and this is another book that at one point I started and I just never like finished. So this is a book that I want to get through in May. The Atlas Paradox. So I bought this book the same day that I bought The Ballad of Perilous Graves and Yasuke and Medical Apartheid. This is a book that I'm anticipating. So with this book, I don't expect to get through it in May, but I do want to have started it in May. So The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake, and it is the sequel to the Atlas 6, and the Atlas 6 is a little like controversial. Some people liked it, some people didn't, and I was on the side of people that liked it. I really did, and I really did like it. One character, like, oh my god, I need to know what happens. So this is the book I don't think I'm gonna finish in May, but I definitely want to start in May. And then the last book is, when I started my reading goals, one of the goals that I set, and you know what, I'll do a whole video on my reading goals because I talked about it on my podcast, but this is a whole new platform, so I owe it to y'all to let y'all know what my reading goals are. I kind of talked about it in another video, but one of those goals was to reread a certain amount of books. I could literally do that reading the whole Harry Potter series. So I'm going to say I want to reread N.K. Jemison's whole bibliography. So I'm going to start with my favorite book written by N.K. Jemisin. Now, it's hard for me to say a favorite book, but if I'm really being honest with myself, it is this book, The Killing Moon by N.K. Jemisin. When I tell you, this was probably the book that I read by her, because I read the Inheritance series first, and I actually have that. I'm probably going to read that after I read The Killing Moon duology. This was the book that really solidified that I was going to read every day by N.K. Jemisin. I think I owned the 5th season first, and I read it. I started reading it, could not get into it, but everybody, like, this book was so... I wanted to experience what everybody experienced when they read this book, but for whatever reason, I could not get into it at the time that I bought it. So for whatever reason, I think the Inheritance series was on sale on Kindle. So I bought the first book. I read it like in like a day. And then I read the second book, and then I read the third book. And then I was like, okay. Then I read The Killing Moon. I went back to the 5th season. I finished the 5th season, finished book 2 of the 5th season. Then I went to The Shadow of Sun, and then yeah, like N.K. Jemisin writes any book and she has my money. That is my TBR for May, which actually seems a little bit larger than I thought it was going to be when I started this video, before I even started this video. I don't think I counted the books that I was going to read, but I can do it. Yeah, but that's all I have for this video. Bye.